It's done.
Connor McDavid! It's not Reid!
The goal of the year?
Panarin!
Part of the past. The celebrations? Forgotten. The history?
Vegas Golden Knights!
History. We're back to a blank slate. Clean ice. All that matters now is what happens next. The Stanley Cup Playoffs.
Eastern Conference Final begins Wednesday.
All coaches aspire to be champions, and this time of year is when you set that vision for your team. By now, listeners of this podcast know about signature championship rings and have met some of the signature champion coaches who partner with them to celebrate their achievements. Reputable, affordable, first-class customer service are just some of the ways we keep hearing coaches describe signature championship rings. So as you're ramping up this summer for the upcoming season, create a championship vision for your team now using the design tool at signaturechampions.com/podcast. Give your team a visual to motivate their pursuit of a championship in 2024. And when your team has a championship moment to celebrate, we highly recommend consulting with Signature Championship Rings.
I know we protect the quarterbacks more than anybody, but we really protect everybody. And for everybody to have success, has got to come through that room.
This episode of our clinic series is from the 2024 Cool Clinic, in which we get the insights of two coaches, Andy Reid and Sherrone Moore. Andy Reid, the head coach of the Kansas City Chiefs, discusses why offensive line coaches excel as head coaches, emphasizing the unique qualities they bring to leadership roles. And then Sherrone Moore, head coach at the University of Michigan, reflects on his journey from offensive line coach to head coach, shedding light on the challenges and transitions he encountered along the way. He shares what's required on the field and off the field for the offensive line coach, the coordinator, and the head coach. Links to both of these full presentations are in the show notes. Enjoy. What you see on tape is a direct reflection of what you teach and how you teach. Video is important, but if you don't teach well, you're not going to like what you see on your video. First Down Playbook has been helping coaches teach better for 13 years. It allows you to present installs, playbooks, and practice cards in half the time with NFL quality. Coaching tools like video pairing, a player app, practice schedules, and wristband sheets have made First Down Playbook a program management system with everything in one place. If you're in a position of leadership with your football program, receive a free 1-week look at First Down Playbook. Call them at 512-814-6158 or visit them on their website or social media. Mention Coach and Coordinator Podcast or use the coupon code COACH24 to receive a $100 discount off the normal $700 First Down Playbook team membership price. Links and the phone number are in the show notes.
Why I think O-line coaches make great head coaches. And, there's some reasons for that here. I just wrote a few of these down. And, I think more so than any position, we know how to reach the core of men while getting them to reach their potential. We know how to get in there. And as a lineman, a lot of these guys wrestled, so they understand it, but some of them didn't, and they don't quite understand. But there's an area at times you got to go in. And we all say it's mental toughness. Well, it's mental toughness to kind of control that part where you think you can't push yourself any further. And so that part can radiate to other positions and to each other as you go through there. But I think as line coaches, we understand how to push our guys to a point where they still come out and they play. And they can take a hit from the standpoint, it could be a verbal hit that you give them, or it can be where they get banged up a little bit and they just kind of keep pushing. So we know how to listen, the big ears, observing eyes, with a small voice until we're needed or until things go bad. We can understand that part. And we're always there. We've done our homework, we're there. We know that working together leads to success, and we know how to build that. So that camaraderie, We're there. We have 5 guys that have got to dance together, and that dance has got to be perfect, man, on a 90% basis. We're striving for 100, but on a 90% basis, man, we got to be striking here and making that right. And, we know how to do that. You know how to present that to people. Not everybody understands that. We know the quarterback position better than anybody. We know the quarterback position. You guys that have played offensive line, the quarterbacks when they come in, the ones that you kind of go, all right, this dude's got it right here. And we've got a feel. And that allows you to be able to go pick these guys. And you understand, you sense the ones that they've got something special there and kind of what makes them tick. We don't expect or need compliments. We can kind of go and we get it. We're not the guys that have to have their name in the paper all the time and do all of that. We just kind of go. And so that helps you. You go someplace like Philadelphia where they change your name, to names that aren't so good almost every play. So you don't really care. You just blank it out and you keep rolling. Where some guys get a bit sensitive, you just kind of, give them the business and move on. We understand that we're kind of in our own world. And sometimes others don't understand that. They don't understand that you sit in these meetings, but when you get in the O-line room, it's different. It's just a different feeling. And we understand that, listen, we're in that room and everybody else, they need us. And we don't need to tell them that, but they need us. And most of them underestimate exactly how hard the job is, or they don't understand it. They just don't understand the job. And so that can become volatile at times. That can be where the coordinator comes up or head coach is coming up and railing on you and doing all this. And you just kind of take it in and say, okay, you spewed it out. Now get out of here and let us fix what we need to fix. But they don't understand everything that went into that job. And that helps you. That helps you as you start working with people to be able to respect everybody else's job and then not to be quite so sensitive. And then the grind, we understand the toughness part of the game. And we also understand the last one here, repetition. Nobody reps things more than line coach. How many times have you taught how to jam or your footwork or pulling or your zone blocking scheme? We go over and over and over and over it again, more so than any position on the field. And we do it together and we understand that that's important. But we also understand when you need to pull off on it too. And when enough's enough, and then you move on. All right. And then the last part of that would just be, we are protectors of quarterbacks, of wide receivers, of tight ends, of the running backs. In order to do this, we've got to work together with their position coaches. So that's not always an easy thing. They may be difficult. The coach might be difficult to work with, maybe the player likewise. But we find a way to connect, communicate, and then most of all, it might not be what's best for your own ego, but we go, that's all right. It's the best for the team to have success. And so that becomes a big thing. And I know we protect the quarterbacks more than anybody, but we really protect everybody. And for everybody to have success, has got to come through that room.
As coaches, we know that some of the biggest hurdles to our team's success can come from off the field. Your team needs support to tackle the endless list of expenses, uniforms, training equipment, travel, and more. But raising that money can feel like a full-time job. Thankfully, there's Vertical Raise. Vertical Raise is the premier online fundraising platform using innovative technology to create the easiest and most efficient system available. Raise more money in less time with a local fundraising coach who works with your team every step of the way to customize the ideal fundraiser. With options for online donations, digital discount cards, premium product sales, and even spirit shops, Vertical Raise has top-of-the-line solutions for every fundraising style. To find out more, visit verticalraise.com and we'll get you connected with an exclusive offer on your first fundraiser. I've always been interested in the use of technology to make our jobs more effective, so I'm excited to continue sharing modern football technology with you here on the podcast. This innovative system leverages tendencies to improve self-scouting, game planning, and in-game decision-making at the speed of the game. Modern football stands out because it's a battle-tested platform used by teams at all levels, like four-time national champion Bishop Gorman, the five-time California state champion Folsom Bulldogs, six-time Texas state champion Lake Travis, Cal football, and the CFL's Grey Cup champions, the Montreal Alouettes. So book a demo today to see why these teams trust modern football technology. Visit www.teammofo.com/demo and mention Coach and Coordinator Podcast or use the coupon code CC10 to receive 10% off your first year. After hearing Andy Reid's insightful perspective on why offensive line coaches make great head coaches, we now shift our focus to Sherrone Moore, who shares his journey and experiences transitioning from an offensive line coach to a head coach. Coach Moore reflects on the valuable lessons he's learned along the way and the responsibilities that come with each role on and off the field.
Went through a lot of things, and as the head coach, it's a little different than being the coordinator and being the offensive line coach. But one thing I take a lot of pride in is that I come from an offensive line background and then got the chance to become an offensive coordinator at a great university, great place. And now, being the offensive line coach and being the offensive coordinator, that's something that not a lot of guys get the opportunity to take that chance and be a head coach. And I know Coach Andy Reid got on here, who's one of the best to ever do it, one of the best coaches ever in football, period. Talked, I believe, yesterday, and I got the chance to talk to him when I accepted the job. So, one thing he just said to me was just be myself. And, Coach Harbaugh told me the same thing, and that's what I plan to do. But really wanted to talk about the transition from being a coach and an assistant coach to being the head coach and the things that change. And then talk a little football too. As the head coach, you don't do that as much now. You're more of a CEO of an organization, and talk about building a two-back run game, and marrying that to things to help you, in the coordinator world. And I think the cool thing about being an offensive line coach, you get to coach the most guys on the field. So, I think sometimes you get put in this box. So, regardless of who's watching, who's on here, I'm always for offensive line coaches getting a chance to be the coordinator and call plays. And, as an O-line coach, I'd say to young guys, that are in the business and you're off the line coach, don't just get stuck in the box of, I only want to do the run game and protection. Venture out, learn the passing game, learn how it all ties together, learn what the quarterbacks are doing, the receivers are doing, and put that in your toolbox to help you coach the O-line. I got my start as a tight end coach, and I think that really helped me build my knowledge of the game. And I don't know it all by any means, and I continue to learn every day. Once you stop learning, there's a problem. So I think you got to continue to learn every day. But I think a lot of things I did learn were, helped me when I was a tight end coach. So I'll really just start out with kind of my transition. So in 2009 to 2011, I was a GA Louisville, became the tight end coach full-time for 2 seasons there. Coach Charlie Strong was the head coach. He went to Texas. I was not, I wasn't allowed to go at that time to Texas. So I ended up at Central Michigan. It was a blessing. So in 2014 to 17 season, I was at Central Michigan for 4 years. And then I got to Michigan in 18. I was the tight end coach through 20. And then Coach Harbaugh gave me the opportunity to be the offensive line coach in 21, became the offensive coordinator, O-line coach, co-OC in 22, and then full-time OC in 23, and the head coach here in 24. And seasons document of what we did the past 3 years, and very blessed and happy to be a part of what we did. I think really the things that are most important to me are the players. And you go through so many adverse times, so many times, and so many things with the players. I think that the biggest piece of this as a coach is you got to figure out how each player learns, each player clicks, each player is different. And just because you're an O-line coach doesn't mean you got to yell, don't mean you got to scream and do different things. I think some guys just learn differently. So you have to figure out the most important piece of coaching is learning how to coach individuals. And, from an off the field perspective, for me, I took a huge part in mentoring each player and getting to know them, not just as a player, but as a person. I think that's more important than anything. So you got to learn to, get to know these guys as people. And then, off the field, obviously recruiting the offensive line was a huge piece of what I did. On the field, player development is huge. coaching five positions, sometimes six is what we do. We like to have five, six, sometimes seven offensive linemen on the field at the same time. So you're coaching that position at a premium. And my job on the field as just the O-line coach was to create a unit of five that looks as one, and film breakdown to the offensive line, the tight ends, the running backs, creating that run game and protection plan was a huge part of what I did as just the offensive line coach. And that your responsibilities grow. But what I tried to do when I was the O-line coach was not only be a part of the run game and the protection plans, but be a part of the passing game and try to figure out ways that we can manipulate defenses, coverages, to continue the knowledge of the passing game stuff, because you can't keep putting yourself in a box. When I became the coordinator, there's not very many guys in the country that are offensive line coaches and that are coordinators. And I think everybody should strive to do that. You shouldn't strive to just be an O-line coach. I mean, it is great to have that goal to be the O-line coach. And my goal was just to be the best offensive line coach I could be. That was really what I wanted to do. When I got here, I wanted to be the best tight end coach I could be. But I think striving for that next step is always what you want to do. You always want to strive to be better. You always want to strive to be different. And that's what I wanted to strive to do. And getting the chance to call plays as the offensive coordinator, which I don't know if anybody else does in college. And I know, Andy Reid, I always watched him and I said, like, I would love to do that, like be an offensive line guy and call plays, because people don't think you can do it. They think you live in this box of a run game, and be able to marry that with the passes, drop back, run action, nakeds, play action, all that thing. It's a cool thing to be a part of. So the next piece of it was me being the offensive coordinator, and off the field, now you're leading and mentoring a whole offense. You're looking at a whole group of people. And that gives you a chance now. If you want to be a head coach, you're going to get a little glimpse of it. You're going to get a glimpse of the mentoring, the off the field piece. You're going to get a mentoring of working with the head coach directly and figuring out what the goals are going to be for the offense and what they're going to do, and any concerns you might have on and off the field, and then recruiting on a whole offense. So, I think when you become the O-line coach, you're looking at specific O-linemen, size, flexion and ankle mobility, height, weight, all those things. You're trying to look at the specifics just for the O-lineman. And when you become the coordinator, especially if you're the O-line coach and coordinator, now you got to watch quarterback cutups. Now you got to watch running backs. You got to watch receivers. You got to watch tight ends along with the O-lineman. And that's when you have to be able to, manage your time in a way to allow yourself that space to do that. So I think it's a really cool position that if you ever get the chance to do, really go strive to do it. Second piece is on the field. Now, not only are looking at the 5-0 linemen, but, I found myself in practice, I'd sit behind, I usually stand behind the whole offense. But now I'm not just looking at the offense, O-line, I'm looking at the receivers. I'm looking at the splits. I'm looking at the alignments. I'm looking at the motions, the shifts, all the things to make sure it's exactly what we want to do. I think the cool thing from being a coordinator and being the O-line coach, you get to tell the O-lineman of kind of how the game's going to get called. What's the story of the game going to be? And so many offenses across the country, it's not like that. The offensive linemen are just going to guess what's going on. And it's as important as the quarterback, as the O-line, to know what's going to be called, what's the sequence, how the game's going to be played. It's just going to give your offensive line an advantage. I think it's something super different that we got to do here. And, I'm forever grateful for Jim Harbaugh to take the chance on me to do that. And, our whole staff, it was an unbelievable deal. But you got to have a great staff too. I think that's a big piece of it. You can't do it all yourself. You've got to be able to game plan and do different things. You see all the responsibilities that I did have, but part of that, it was delegating to my staff too. Is if you're coaching the O-line, you got to delegate as well. And then as the head coach now, you are no longer just a football junkie. You can be, but you've got to manage a lot of time to be the CEO of an organization, and leading, managing players, coaches, staff, different things that go on. You have to make some hard decisions, some tough decisions. You got to be able to recruit, retain your players, as we know with this transfer portal, what we've done. And then the culture that we have here, and making sure that in the long term and the short term that we keep that, huge piece for me. And then off the field, you see coaches, head coaches all the time deal with media and the press and donors and all that. And that's part of it. That's a huge part of what you do now as a head coach. So the transition has, for me, that's the biggest piece for me of having to deal with that, having to go out and people know who you are and understand who you are, because they knew who I was as the coordinator and O-line coach, and all that I kind of got, I'm never going to get used to it, but I dealt with it more as I was a head coach in games last year. But really, those things have come more to fruition now. And you got to be able to handle it the right way. And, at the end of the day, just be yourself. On the field, you're responsible for a whole team, and coordinators, game plans, all that. They have to, all go through you. It's a lot of responsibilities that I love, that I want, that I need. But the number one thing I think that, being the head coach on and off the field is you have to find a way to get 100% alignment with your organization, with your team. Yeah, I've got a chance to talk to some great leaders in college football, past and present. And, the one thing I keep hearing is the alignment of the program, what it needs to be. And that's a huge piece for me of how I'm going to set this program standard as we go forward. So, I've talked about, even my opening press conference, the process, the pursuit, the standard. And to me, it's bigger than just a saying and what it is. It's kind of our war chant of how I want this place to be. And last year, we always talked about process over prize. We knew there was a prize that we wanted to obtain. And we would look at our banner every week, every day up in Al Glick Field House, our indoor, and it would say 1997 national champions, 1997 national champions. And we continually had different members of those teams come back and talk about how much they wanted to see our team, be a national champion, or 21, the same thing, 22. And we just kind of got tired of hearing that, and really set forward and clicked to me when Charles Woodson came back and said, I'm really tired of coming back and saying this. I'm really tired of it. Like, we want you guys to do it. And we were blessed for that to happen last year. The process, the pursuit, the standard really is simply this. The process is how we work every day. The pursuit is going to be the continual strive to be great in everything we do. And then once you continue to do that, you become the standard. And that's really what I want our program to do as we push forward, because the block M is bigger than any one person.
Here are winning edge takeaways and ideas for implementation. 1. Understand the importance of player development and individual coaching. As an offensive line coach aspiring to become a head coach, it's crucial to focus on how each player learns, communicates, and performs on the field. Being able to tailor coaching methods to individual players can enhance overall team performance and build strong relationships with them. 2. Embrace diverse coaching experiences. To transition from an offensive line coach to a head coach, it's beneficial to gain experience in various coaching roles, such as offensive coordinator or tight ends coach. Diversifying your coaching knowledge, especially in different aspects of the game, like passing plays, can provide a well-rounded skill set necessary for leading the team effectively. And 3, strive for continuous learning and growth. Aspiring head coaches should maintain a mindset of continuous learning and improvement. It's essential to stay open to new challenges, seek opportunities to expand coaching expertise, and aim for progression within the coaching hierarchy. By constantly seeking growth and development, offensive line coaches can better prepare themselves for the responsibilities of the head coaching role. Be sure to check out the links to the entire presentation from Andy Reid and from Sherrone Moore in the show notes. Follow All We're Doing at coachandcoordinator.com and follow us on X at Coach K. Grabowski.